Hey, what's going on, guys? Oiishipan here. What you see before you is a very innocent looking right line with, just a little dirty starter. But what you see before you came in a start there. What you see before you now came from hell. Today we'll be covering Seraph Purelight, our brand new format. Yes. So for those of you wondering, what happened to Leonard? Leonard's dead. What happened to Lionel? Lionel's dead. What happened to Bastian? He's fine, but he's not doing well. So why is this deck so good? We are starting off the new year, new meta, and everyone is waiting for V-Call. So let's actually just break this deck down so you truly understand what it is. Some people are saying, oh, it's just hype. It's not real. There's no way this deck is that good. Allow us to demonstrate. We may not have the best list on the planet, but we have a list that will prove to you enough that, okay, listen, this is a problem. And once again, if you sincerely don't believe us, you just play it for yourself and you will see. To help me through my cardiac arrest, today I have Oiishipan.
Hi guys, it's Oiishipan here.
So he's here in case I get a stroke halfway. He will be taking over the video, which is very likely because, someone did an entire video on my channel without me when I was sick. So I strongly believe that if I die of cancer tomorrow, I am in very good hands in the name of the Lord. So let's actually just cover this deck. Starter. This is the grade 1. This is, what's the name again?
Canite Blue.
Canite Blue, yes. Canite Blue skill, it's very simple. When it's placed on the Vanguard circle, you search your deck for a prison and add to hand. Now, we haven't broken this format just yet, so we're still playing this prison, but, eventually we'll get another prison. We'll get to this prison very soon, but just know that you get a prison through this. This is a 100% consistent way you get it, unless it's in your hand, then you just have to, just play from hand. You don't get a free plus. But it's fine. The other skill is on Rearguard circle, as long as when it's placed, if you have a card in your prison, counter blast 1, soul blast 1, you draw. Okay, cool cycle. if you were in a if you're in a pre-Purelight society, you could potentially use this card as a quick cycle. But nowadays, you just don't care. You just want to kill your opponent. You want to win the game. Next up, we have Canite Pink. No, this is Canite Pink. No. Reset Pink. Yeah, I stopped playing the Vanguard Zero imaginary event, so I can't exactly remember. Its skill is when placed on a Vanguard circle, your opponent chooses one card from your hand and imprison it. If you're wondering why Jamil Congo was in this thumbnail, this is why. We have hand trap in this thing, and it gets worse. This is just the fastest hand trap in my opinion, and it's the most consistent because it's built in. But we have other and more painful ways to hand trap. And remember, the only way Bushiroad solved Jamil Congo is by banning it. Second skill is obviously, as long as there's a prison card, it gets 2k. It's a nice 12k beater, but like I said, that's so as the era. Of course, we have Seraph White. Seraph White is still going to be your turn 3 right, and hopefully not your turn 4 right. It's still okay as a turn 3 card, and to be honest, it's actually pretty fair. During your turn, if there's a card in prison, it gets 10, and if there are 3 more cards in prison, it gets an extra drive. 3 more cards in prison, I say that's super easy. In fact, it's almost guaranteed. But, it does not happen all the time. But not that it matters. Not with our new deck. The second skill is V or R. You counter blast 1, choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards, and imprison it once per turn. So, V or R, because you could actually play this as a rear guard if you actually used to play multiple copies of this Seraph White, which was viable until yesterday. So, not yesterday. A few weeks ago. So, it's actually not a bad card still. Like, if you actually want to play more copies of Seraph White in your deck, it's fine. But it's just that, given Purelight, which we're getting into in just a bit, it really begs the question, why are we doing that? Purelight only needs to Soul Blast 1 Seraph, which if you think about it, if you ride on top, you Soul Blast 1, you ride on top, you Soul Blast 1, you ride on top, you Soul Blast 1, you ride on top, you Soul Blast 1. If your opponent's not dead by then, it's Jesus. But if it's not Jesus, then you are making a huge mistake. And you also don't need extra Seraphs, because as you can see here, everyone pays for the last. That's just how it is. So really, multiple copies of Purelight is, in my opinion, multiple copies of Seraph Snow is, in my opinion, quite nonsensical. But, I mean, it's still a choice. If you want to play multiple copies of Seraph, I still think it's not as bad. So now let's go into the main deck, and my cardiac arrest is coming. We play 4 copies of the Grade 4 Seraph Purelight. When placed on the Vanguard circle, counter blast 1 and soul blast a Seraph in its name. So you can soul blast this as well. And in fact, you're encouraged to. You choose 2, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand, soul, as well as board and imprison. And then that's it. honestly, the 2 from board is fair because that's generally just how Seraph plays. You always want the board. 2 from soul is kind of weird and really irritating because you need soul for stuff like, a lot of things in this format. And also, if you're using soul, you could use the soul to pay the cost to free stuff from prison, but now you don't even have those resources. And then you may be wondering, that's okay, I'll call cards from my hand next turn. There is no hand next turn because maybe I'm removing 2 cards from your hand and moving it to prison. And that's just the on place. It has a second skill. During your turn, for every 2 cards in your prison, your front row gains 5,000 power. If there are 10 or more cards in the prison, your front row gains a crit each. So you effectively just get like force 2 3 times on your front row. You can 0 to 6 your opponent instantly with a minimal of, I think, 25k to the front row for free. You want to talk about Persona Right being a dead mechanic? I agree when I see this card. All I see is hell. Because you straight up can 0 to 6 anyone in a format where your shields look like this. Do you know what this is? This is a 5k shield. This thing gives 25k to the front row. And last I checked, you only have 4 sentinels in a deck. Yeah, so just let that sit in. And if you don't believe me, just test against it. Just test against it. Our grade 3, we play, obviously, Seraph Snow from the right deck. And we tap in 2 copies of Lebanon. Lebanon is obviously from the last set, and I think it's still fine, but some people just won't really like it in the deck. I think it's a personal choice. Lebanon's skill is you counterblast 1 soul blast 1 when it attacks. Choose up to 3 cards from your opponent's field and imprison them, and then after that, if you have 5 or more, this unit gains a crit. If you have 3 or more, this unit gains 10k. So 10k and a crit to the front row for CB1 SP3. A little costly, but that's really fine to push the pressure if for some reason you haven't won yet. Beyond that, this actually serves a much different purpose from what it used to serve. Purelight is an on place. So after you use its devastating effect, and even if you get multiple copies, you don't really have much ways to imprison the board anymore. Although that's kind of a half lie because we have other prison cards. But if you want to talk about prison cards of a large scale, you don't get that anymore because you have just soul blasted your snow away to win the game. In that case, we actually recommend you to use Lebanon. Because Lebanon can straight up just imprison 3. Like, even if you use another copy of Purelight, that's 3. No, that's 2 plus 3. It's 5. It's a full board. Well done. Varina's dead. So that's generally just how this works. But even if you don't get the full board in prison, you still get 10k and a crit. And like I said, if you have 5 or more, right? If you have 5 or more, you also can trigger it with this and give your front row even more power. So, yeah, honestly, like I said, if you don't want to play Lebanon in your prison decks post Purelight, I think it's fine. But it's just a neat option that we thought was worth running. But, to each his own. If you want to play a more streamlined version, I think you can totally go without this. Our grade 2s, we play 1 copy of Risotto Pink. We play 2 copies of Jamil Congo Spirit with Hosen. We play 4 copies of Agar Rouge from the Vanguard Zero mobile game. And then we play 2 copies of Perry Turquoise. Let's break it down. This is the right deck. I don't have to explain this. Then, of course, we play this one.
So, for turquoise, on place, sorry, Dbt04 is dying in the background. Anyway, on place, basically what she does is every time you take a fella, one of your boys out prison, she minus them 5k. That's the second skill. But for the first skill, if you have 2 or more cards in prison, she already gains a plus 5k. So, if you have 2 cards in your prison, she becomes a 15k beater. After that, still adding on, you after bringing out the boys from prison, they still add a minus, and they still have another minus 5k. So essentially, if you have 2 on the board, they become useless.
Or at least that's if they are grade 2 or lower. But the point is that now, even as your opponent is desperately trying to fight back against their new meta, they're now being broken over their knees with this little thing. But as deadly as this sounds, if I told you this wasn't much of an essential, would you believe me? Perry Turquoise is actually not that needed in the deck. I'm not saying it's a bad card, it's a wonderful card. But it comes to a point now that we have so much stuff in prison that you can straight up just choose not to play this one. So honestly, I think it's up to you because some people just wouldn't really want to play this because this is really more for a droid and stall match. It doesn't really contribute much for the kill, But it's still not a bad card altogether. So it's more of a, if you have it, you can play it. If you don't have it, you don't need to go out of your way to find it. But speaking of something you do need, Agar Rouge.
Now, let me tell you my best friend from grade 2. So, this is Agar Rouge. On place, right, if you have 2 cards in prison, he gains plus 5k attack and plus 10 shield. 10k shield. So, basically, he becomes a 15-15 if you have 2 cards in prison. So, sayonara. If you have this, you have just 4 triggers in your hand. That's it. And then, that's not all. When on place, you can soul blast 1 and take one of your friends, your enemies, front row, and put them where? Prison. Very good. So if you got this, if you got this guy, and turquoise, they come together. So if you have 2 fellas on the board, one sends them to prison, the other one prevents you from coming out of prison. Very good pair. So we have the police officer and the guy guarding the jail. So
Prison guard.
So we have a very fun pair right there.
The thing is that Agar Rouge is technically more versatile than Fairy Turquoise, because the thing is that Fairy Turquoise just helps you for the stall, but Agar Rouge really just covers a lot of things that a prison deck needs. It's a good offense, it's a good defense, and it's still a prison ping. There is really no argument against Agar Rouge unless it gets purely power cracked, which I sincerely hope not. So I think it's seriously still fine to place at 4. It's definitely one of the most reliable cards. Think of this as the Alden of prison. Our grade 1s, we play obviously Kyanite Blue. We play Galactus, the prison. We play 3 copies of the Kaiju. We play 4 PG. We play this one,
2 Bubble Mine.
2 Bubble Mine. We play 4 Glimmer, and then we play this one. Galactus I plan to cover later with the other order, which I actually didn't mention yet, which will come to later. So let's actually just break this down. This is from the right deck, Kyanite Blue. I don't have to say much. This is your PGs. You want to win the game, you need to play PGs. This is a really good card. Its skill is, if you have 1 or less cards in your prison, you can rest this unit, choose one of your opponent's cards from drop, and prison it. It's free. It's absolutely free, and that just makes it so good. As long as you have 1 copy on the board, you're always guaranteed to make sure your prison always has someone inside. Wonderful. That's why you only need a 3, because very honestly, any more copies are excessive. So 3 is just to make sure you really get this card, because it's good. Good rare. Next up, we have Suppressed Glimmer. If you thought Million Red was bad, we have good news for you. This card has 2 skills. As long as your Vanguard is Seraph, this unit gains 5000 power. When placed on a Vanguard circle from hand, you can search your deck for another copy of it. As long as your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Seraph, it's a rare call. So that means if you call 1, you get 2. But they're both 13k. Welcome hell. This card is just really good because the amount of free advantage this card spells out is something that not even Seraph Purelight itself can compare to. Like, it's just that good.
Look, they are the same power.
No, they're the same power.
This is a great one.
It's 13k.
And you can boost.
You can boost. So honestly, with this in your back row, your boosting magic numbers is almost guaranteed, because hey, as long as they kill 1, they have another copy that came out. If you just call another 1, you get another 1. It keeps multiplying. It's just really good, and I really don't know why they made such a good and free card. Yes, I know it's restricted to turn 3, but hey, it's not like it matters anyway, so yeah. Okay, moving on to the more technical choices. We'll start with this one.
So basically, you may be wondering, who is she? I've never seen her before. So, hold on, right. So essentially, right, who is she? She's just she's basically the cheaper version of her. Well, she in the back row. She also, when you have 2 or more cards in prison, she gains a plus 5k per month. So basically, she's just a cheaper version of the new card from Dbt04. So why are we running 2 of her? Well, because we can't run 6 of her, so we have to settle for less. So that's basically about what she does. She can also help you get your magic number, but maybe not as powerful as your the new card from Dbt04. Oh, also, if you don't have enough money to afford the new card, you can always buy this one. It's a good alternative, but it's definitely not as good as the new Dbt04 card.
For sure.
And lastly, for our great ones, we have Bobo Mine. So Bobo Mine, when his skill is after the attack it boosted, you can put this card into soul and counter charge 1. Free counter charge.
As long as you have a set order.
As long as you have a set order, which
You always
I
will
mean,
have.
unless you threw prison out, your grade 1 prison out of your deck, I don't see why you can't activate the skill. You probably must be quite dumb to throw this out and play something else. I don't know what. If you don't have this card in your deck, I don't think you're playing prison anymore. I think you might as well just play Hexer or something.
Okay. Moving on to our orders, we obviously play Galactus. Galactus has quite a lot of skills. To activate it, you need to soul charge. You need to rest one of your units, and then you soul charge 3. The soul charge really just helps you go a long way. And if you are Chaos Breaker player in Premium, you need this. To release people from prison, you can either soul blast 1 to free 1 or counter blast 1 to free 2. This is resource hell. So yeah, I don't have to explain to you what this card does. I mean, if you're playing this deck, you clearly know what this is. So yeah. Our other order we obviously play is this one, 24-hour surveillance. Very simple skill, you just soul blast 1 to use it. If your opponent's hand has 4 or more cards, you straight up just take a card from your hand and imprison it. One of your units gains 5k. I really don't need to explain why this is good. You live in a format where this just rips 2 and this just rips another. Although I would want you to be careful of timing because, to be very clear, this thing has a bit of a downside, which is you need to have 4 or more cards in your opponent's hand. So if you use this to rip them down to 3 or less, you don't get to use this anymore. So just keep that in mind. Last but not least at all, we are moving on to our trigger zone. We play 4 shield fronts, we play 8 crits, and we play 3 heals on the OT. Because very honestly, we are here to win the game. So max aggression and destroy. This is the best PG. This is the best OT. You really have no reason to play Obaria. It's just that good. Before we end this video, we just like to say, oh yeah, and the starter. You need to play starter too. Before we end this video, I know some of you may be wondering where is the PR for Aurora. It's basically the one whose skills when plays counter blast 1, you can prison the top card of your opponent's deck. It is a very good card, by no means, for sure. It is just very good. But very honestly, with the amount of hand ripping, the amount of board prisoning, the amount of drop zone stuff you get, you want to choose. I feel like for this deck, we choose more aggression and more pushing for the game because you now can, rather than actually just stalling it out. I understand that it's a great thing to stall from prison to prison from the top of your deck because, very honestly, I played the thing too and I think it's wonderful, but we just want to show you that this is a deck that's possible without it. And then you may be saying, but why would I want to show a deck without it? Because it's very expensive. So if you cannot afford it because you blew all your money on this thing, just know that it's not the end of the world to play without. And that wraps it up for our Seraph Purelight deck profile. Well, what else can I say? This thing is just good. So yeah, we're shooting this on the new year, new meta. How long will this deck last? I don't know. Where's Leonard? He's dead. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye, and welcome to the new meta.